Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you for doing
Yeah, what a
this.
question, bro.
So one question I had for you was, how did you come up with the lyrical concept of Rocket Fuel? I mean, Rocket Fuel, the song was a beat. You took that beat, gave it life, gave it a title, gave it its
Hmm.
theme. What, tell me how that process works for
Well,
you.
for me, words come together quite quickly for me personally, when it comes to rhyming. So once I heard the beat, immediately just start trying to pen stuff. I was telling Dave, and then it kind of came together really quick. For me personally, though, mentally, hooks are a bit like a stranger to me because I always tend to try to make them complicated.
Right.
So actually, the hook came from Dave. Like I was like, "Yo, I don't know, blah blah blah," and Dave, he's just so good at this kind of simplifying things. He's like, "Yo, Merce, like something like, can you rock it like rocket fool?" He said rocket fool first, then he said fuel, and I was like, "Yo, that's dope." And
Okay, see, I didn't even realize that. I just, I
yeah,
just because I had always interfaced primarily with you, going
yeah.
back to the last track we did together, I was just sort of imagining that you kind of came up with your part, Dave came up with his part,
Hmm.
and
Now
we were
Dave
kind of
slayed with
quarterbacking.
he's slayed with the chorus, man.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
so good at that. I mean, like even with like say something like ooh, like I was trying to make it too complicated. He was like, no, I like the sample saying ooh, this is like ooh, ooh. I'm like, oh, okay.
So, in your experience of making songs, making music, and especially with collabs, would you say this came together quickly, or like normally, or maybe a little longer than some?
No, it came together pretty quick. I mean, once the beat moves me, it's just on from there. So yeah, I wouldn't say it took long at
I
all. I
wouldn't.
mean, we were in New York at the moment, doing some recording, and yeah, we was like, yo, let's just go in and get it done.
Yeah, from my perspective, it was about as painless of a collab as I've ever been a part of. I mean, and
I mean, look, Shadowman, especially for me and you. I mean, anything you've ever asked me to be a part of, I love it. I love to flex my chops in any way creatively. So it was fun, man. All right.
parenthetically, I stumbled across a production of yours I didn't realize was Medina Green.
Oh wow,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Cross my beat. Yeah.
I don't know what I was doing. I was just processing some records, and I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." I mean,
Mhm.
I used to play it, like obviously
Mhm.
by the fingerprints and everything, but I never, for some reason, I had never noticed that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. For me, of course, early De La, always loved to produce, always tried to put music on something, kind of like fell out of it. Like it's there for me. I always hear music, always put things together, but in the present moment, don't do a lot of producing. But definitely then, yeah, yeah. I had the Bush Babies around that time as well, like a song for them, love song. And yeah, the Medina Green track, yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
So the album you all are working on at the moment, how is the yeah? Depending on how much you want to really talk about it or tip your hand with it, but
Mhm.
are you involved in any way in production on that, or is it mostly
Now, the production standpoint of the new album is uh, Pete Rock and Premier. A little bit of co-production, like if I hear, like, I don't know, oh, maybe this horn or something or stab. But yeah, mainly it's Pete and Preem.
okay?
Yeah.
So I had a question I wanted to ask you because when we were rehearsing for the Kimmel show, which we'll get back to in a second,
Hmm.
um, I had just got these 7 inches of rocket fuel
Hmm.
that we were doing for this Rap Cats promotion, and you wanted to make sure you got one.
Hmm.
And so my question is, I associate you primarily as being an MC for obvious reasons,
Hmm.
and you never really hear MCs talk about their records and their record collection. Are you a record guy? Or are you a vinyl guy? Or is it mainly that you just want to have an archive of everything you've done?
Pretty much an archive. I'm a De La hoarder.
Okay.
Anything we've done, any show, anything, flyers, promotional, whatever, I keep. Emails. I'm bad. Like if it was a hip hop edition of Hoarders, you got me, and you could never get me to get rid of anything. If you would have gave me 12 copies, I would have kept all 12.
Got it.
So yeah, but I mean, but I do have a good amount of vinyl. I mean, especially from just sampling early on and putting stuff together for a lot of the early albums. So, you know, once everything kind of came around to a digital sense, you know, I jump on dragging stuff digitally. But yeah, I definitely got my fair share of vinyl.
Yeah. So what's a famous sample that people attribute maybe to other producers that came directly from either your mom and pop's collection or something that you found that you know you always kind of claim as your own, like that was something that came right from the family vault?
Wow, like pretty much the entire first album. I mean, like Plug Tunin, that was my father's 45, out of his doo-wop records. I have, to this day, I don't know why I haven't asked him, but my father, he had that French instructional record, which made Transmitting Live from Mars. That was my father's. Have no idea why he had it, because he can't speak a lick of French. Yeah, a lot of stuff. I mean, wow, what else? Couple of things, like, yeah, just right out, you know, like even the title of the album, Three Feet High and Rising, you know, the Johnny Cash record, I believe is entitled 5 Feet High and Rising, if I'm not mistaken. And that was Dave's Pop's record. So a lot of the records came straight up from our parents, from that first album.
And you still have them, I assume, or they still
have them? I have them, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So after we recorded the track, then we had this opportunity to do Kimmel. Mm-hmm. And just a similar kind of question, because you've been in it, let's see, all things being real, probably 5 years, give or take, longer than myself. Is doing television something that excites you, something that you feel like this is a special opportunity, or have you done so many now to where you're still into it, you still see why it has value, but maybe it's not quite as, you know, fresh as it once was?
No, for me personally, I would say it definitely has value. And I think for all of us. I mean, I don't ever look at it like, oh boy, here goes some TV again. Nah. No, I mean, especially like late night. Yeah, it was, you know, I saw it as a really pretty cool thing to do, you know, because, and then even immediately, I think when I spoke to you, I was like, you know, I was always ready to like figure out, okay, like, how are we going to rock the crowd? You know, I don't want it to just look like we're just saying the words and then these long gaps. You're like, can we interact? And so I wanted to figure that out with you immediately. So I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I've done 3. Mm-hmm. I did Letterman, I did Fallon, and then Kimmel. I was just curious, do you know how many you've done?
I have no idea. I mean, I'm being honest.
Yeah.
From 3 Feet High and Rising alone, the way, and I'm saying this in a good way, but the way our record company and the licensees bastardized us performing TV shows, I'm talking about everything, whether it was Top of the Pops in the UK. I mean, like everything, any and everything, any and everything. So, I mean, just on that album alone, let alone throughout our career with every other album. So we've done a lot. And I mean, like the ones that are the most, I would say, challenging would have been the ones where, you know, you have to like sing, but you can't really rhyme, you know what I'm saying? It's just like this vocal, and it's crazy because you would have already gotten so used to performing it live that to now rhyme over a sync, you know, you don't really say it the same. So now you got to remember how you did Ego Tripping. We did Ego Tripping one time for like Soul Train, and have to remember how to do it the album way, you know, because we embellished so many times differently live. So, you know, yeah, those are the worst to me, when you can't really like use your voice. You got to like just rhyme to a track.
Or I would imagine another thing I've seen people struggle with is when they have to clean it up. You know what I mean? Especially if the verse is particularly dense with cursing.
Yep.
To remember, because I mean, when you're doing it live, there's no need to clean it up, and it's how you wrote it. So I would imagine that might be tricky as well.
Yeah, that definitely can. I mean, we've been lucky enough, especially for like, say, songs that have been considered the single or what have you, that they weren't really laced with, you know, a whole bunch of cursing.
Right.
but there were just different songs definitely where, okay, it may not have been a curse, but the way maybe someone had said something, it just may have just not been cool to be said on a TV show. So we had to change it up. So yeah, things like that, definitely.
Yeah. So going back, I mean, you've been, I would say as a, like from a fan perspective, an outsider perspective, looking at the De La career, your career, you know, obviously the association with the Gorillaz being what it is,
Mm-hmm.
and the places that took you guys, where do you see like the next phase of De La and the next phase of your career? What is it that you feel like you want to accomplish? What do you feel like you haven't been able to quite do and want to do?
I just really want to get more with the fellas into just writing, like writing for shows and comedy, like just writing, like not necessarily like writing music and putting together songs, but actually like, you know, putting together TV shows and books and stuff. Because I mean, I've always been into writing like stories, and that's what lent to even once emceeing, and I got more into that out of DJing, you know, like a song like Millie Pull a Pistol, that's me writing a story. I
Right.
love to write stories. So I would love to do a lot more of that. And we've been talking a lot about that and trying to like put that, you know, like check that off the bucket list, like really get more in tune to that. And even music just being in syncs and stuff like that, like just doing different things like
Yep.
that, opposed to just performing, making music. You know?
Yeah, it seems like to me the old model of, you know, working on an album for a year, touring for a year, maybe a little bit of rest or whatever, then working on an
Mm-hmm.
album for a year, touring for a year. It seems like that model is getting more and more difficult to really sustain.
No,
And
very
I know
true.
about this,
Very true.
you know, trying to work this angle over here simultaneously. But that's why I've always been envious of the group dynamic.
Mm.
Because for my situation, I'm a group of one, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's really difficult to, like, I notice lots of times Mace will be, you know, just doing DJ gigs,
Mm-hmm.
and you and Dave will be over here doing this, or maybe, you know, working on production or writing or something. And I've always been envious of that group ability to kind of, you know, attack multiple things at the same
Mm-hmm.
time.
No, I mean, you're right. I really don't. I obviously can't even relate necessarily to what you have, how hard that may be for you, because you're right. I can, at some point, Dave will be my crutch on something. Like, okay, I can't figure this out, and Dave comes along and figures something out, and vice versa for him, where he'll be like, look, he's stressing a lot on what this could be, and I can be like, well, nah, let's flip it this way, and Mace can add as well. Like me having to carry it all by myself, you know, nah, I don't even understand that. So I mean, I can only imagine how it can be for you, and like, you know, just even from a performance standpoint, like, hey, my voice is a little strained, and Dave just picks up on it and holds me down ad-lib wise, or do this. Like, there's a lot of that dynamic that you don't understand it, how used you are to it, until maybe, wait a minute, Dave is sick, and I got to hold this down by myself real quick, and the ad-libs, you know, like, yeah.
It's incredible, actually. And that's the one thing I do not envy vocalists. There's been so many times on the road where I can't speak, but I'm able to do my show because I don't, you know, that doesn't affect my ability to perform. I've done enough DJing behind MCs through the years to know and to be able to see it. And that is not fun. Like being on the road in the wintertime or something like that.
Exactly.
It's some little bug, and everything is up in the air because you can't do what you need to do.
No, very true. And I've always had the weaker voice. Like if I don't get enough sleep, my voice will get strained immediately. And I've learned through the years the remedies to do, and you know what to drink. But I mean, it's mainly sleep. Just making sure that I stop being nosy to nightlife after the show, and just sometimes just say, you know what, go to bed.
Yeah.
Don't try to binge watch Games of Thrones at 2 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Just go to bed.
Although, as you know, jet lag will get you.
Oh,
it will get you. It might be my least favorite aspect of touring.
I would totally agree with you. Flying, I mean, I would settle for a bus, even like say Gorillaz, when we could be on tour with them, and you know, we'll have the option to fly, you know, 4 hours or do a 20-hour ride. Sometimes it's like, yo, like I would almost do that 15-hour bus ride so I can sleep and get up when I want, read a book, listen to good music. But that checking in to an airport, and you know, the line, security, and the so-called, you know, little lounge area that's nothing but a hole in the wall with some cold cuts out.
Yeah.
You know, and let alone the plane ride and then get off, go through customs. Nah.
It's so do you feel like there's a Posdnuos book in your future where you get to talk about all this stuff?
There's definitely a De La book, without question. I mean, we got tons of stories. As I told you, I've been hoarding forever. So I got every flyer, picture. I got pictures from like our first tour with LL, NWA, like everything. So like a good book, definitely.
I'm sure you got at least a few of these hanging around.
You know what? Crazy enough, I don't. I got one. And I got one recently because God bless her, Monica Lynch, was the president of Tommy Boy. She gave me one. I lost mine in, I don't know, moving at one point. So that's, yeah. I usually would have had like maybe 9 of them, but I only do. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I'll go through the archives. If I find anything I think you might want, I'll send it through, because I've tried to be
bless your heart.
When you grow up in a small town and there's something happening around the world and you can't be a part of it, and you're a teenager, it makes you really, really excited to just grab any piece of it that you can.
No, I can imagine.
In that era, like something like this was a signifier that said you were down with something really, really important and special. And yeah, that's what it is. So listen, Pos, man, thank you so much for being a part of Rocket Fuel, doing the show, everything. You know, I consider you one of the easiest, most giving collaborators I've ever worked with.
Thank you, man. Honestly, we have fun. Anything, you know, you need us for, we here, man. There's no red tape. That's how I like to say it. There's no, you know, it's direct, you know.
That's right.
And it was, I mean, like, even with, unfortunately, everything is going on now, you know, it's cool when my kids look up and be like, oh, Daddy, that's Rocket Fuel. And, you know, they see it on some commercial, like, yeah, that's cool. And it puts a smile on my face. So thank you, honestly. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Y'all be well and stay safe.
You too, Shadow. For real.
Take care.
All right, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen,